Hello, friends. Welcome to our third um, part in our four-part series with Brandy from Basic Balanced Nutrition. If you have missed parts one or two, you can always check them out on our Living Well YouTube page. Brandy has been so kind to let us record and share her words of wisdom and information with us. We will also be recording this one and we'll get it posted on our YouTube a little later in case there's anything you want to go back to or there was a coworker that missed something. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Brandy. If you have questions or concerns, you can always drop them in the chat. She is great about monitoring that. And myself and Belle are also here and can help as well. And with that, let's get to this meal prepping business.
Yes, I'm super excited. Happy Tuesday, everybody. I cannot believe it's the middle of February. Let me just start there. I feel like it was just 2024. Okay, so today we'll be talking about mastering meal prep without the overwhelm. So if you do not know me or haven't been to one of the previous sessions or watched the recording, my name is Brandy. I'm the owner and one of the dietitians here at Basic Balanced Nutrition. I am an Aggie and Sam Houston alumni, dog and cat mom, lover of quesadillas and anything chocolate, and hater of fad diets and restriction. So if y'all feel comfortable, please turn on your camera. I love to see y'all's faces. If not, please feel free to comment, be active in the chat. I always like to hear y'all's feedback. So let's get comfy. If you know how I present, I always like to start with a question or some sort of self reflection in the beginning, kind of going over what we're going to talk about today. So, my question today for y'all is what's the biggest challenge that tends to derail your meal planning and prep? If you do meal planning and prep, if you haven't before, maybe it's just been overwhelming. I have some examples here. Is it time? Is it motivation? Is it unexpected plans that come up? Drop it in the chat. I love to hear what's on y'all's mind. So let's see. Time. Don't know how. Well, after today, you are going to have a roadmap to do it. So I'm super excited. So I'm lazy. Time, like consistency, work, overwhelm, and unexpected plans. What's good recipes to start with? I also don't know what to eat this. Wait, I also don't want to eat the same thing for 4 days. Yes, same. Not sure where to start, not having enough containers, honestly. Let's get on Amazon and let's get you some containers. Time and consistency, too much work, planning grocery meals, worrying about how things will store. Absolutely. Getting family to think about cooking before the meal time, needing to use up stuff I already have. Yes, this is in my presentation. And not sure how those items would fit into meal prep. So awesome. These are all great. And hopefully, by the time at the end of this slide, y'all will have a much better plan and direction for meal planning and meal prepping. If I don't get to specific questions, I'll try to remember this at the end. Maybe someone remind me to do this. I might go back up here because I want to touch on some of these things that you all have said that might not be in my presentation, but I think just we need to just discuss it a little bit more. So let's get started though. Let me go to the bottom of my chat. Perfect. So FYI, because I always forget to let y'all know at the beginning, and I always see like y'all taking notes, which I love a note taker. Definitely feel free to take notes, but I will have a QR code at the end of the presentation where you can get the presentation slides. And on the presentation today, I have a few templates that I'm just going to share a screenshot of those with y'all. But on the QR code, that email that it sends you, it'll have a button where you can click where you can get the meal plan templates and then the grocery list template. So just FYI, I'll have it at the very end of my presentation. So overview of today, we're going to do intro, a little bit of mindset shifting, kind of what we talked about in one of our previous sessions. And we'll go over the 6 easy steps to plan meals and snacks for the week, making meal prep manageable. And then a few little extra tips I threw in there at the end that I was like, it's not in here yet, but I need to throw these in here because they are important for just stress-free meal prep. So let's start with that intro and just mindset shifting. So very quick intro. So obviously today we'll be talking about meal prep, but in a way that feels simple and stress-free and not overwhelming and time consuming. I know a lot of y'all put that in here. So just like overwhelming, I don't know what to do, time consuming. So Common challenges that we see, a lot of people feel like meal prepping has to be time consuming or complicated and it's like huge ordeal, but it doesn't. So, especially if you haven't started meal planning or meal prepping, you don't know where to start, just the small habits can make a huge, significant difference. So, a few things to keep in mind as we go through whenever we're thinking about meal prepping is being intentional and having awareness. We have to do those two things. And again, if you've been to any of my presentations or you know me, you know basic balanced nutrition, these are two things that we talk about quite frequently because we have to have awareness. I feel like in today's, in intention, today's society, it's just like go, 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 like check off the boxes and what's next, right? But you have to kind of take time to just sit down, like, what do I need? Let me plan to help myself be the best version of myself, right? So, just FYI, as we go through, keeping those things in mind. So, a little bit of mindset shift here. Again, y'all have heard this if you've gone to the first presentation in this series. If not, go back and listen to the recording. But in the first session, we talked a lot about mindset and how our beliefs and our mindset shifting can change our lives. So, another thing to be aware about is, again, meal prepping doesn't have to be spending all this time in the kitchen or have to be overwhelming. It's finding what works best for you, but also to being aware, are you kind of setting yourself up for failure by saying like meal prepping is hard and meal prepping is overwhelming and meal prepping is this or that, where it's kind of like in a negative light? And if so, I have a few affirmations here that could work for you just to kind of flip that script in your mind. And again, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, like changing your mindset, flipping the script, please go back and watch that replay of the first session. Um, so a few things I have here. So meal prepping can be simple and flexible. I get to do it in a way that works for me. I'm capable of making meal prep easier by starting small and keeping it realistic. Prepping even one meal ahead is a success and makes my week smoother. I don't have to be perfect. Any amount of planning helps me feel more nourished and less stressed. And I'm learning and improving my meal prep skills with each attempt. So I have a question for y'all, and you could just put yes or no in the chat. Do you think you have a negative mindset about meal prep? Are you thinking that, oh, it's overwhelming and it's hard and I don't know what to do and all of these things? So I have a no. So that's good. That's a good thing. I sure do. Okay. Okay. So maybe even pulling one of these and just kind of having in your back pocket whenever you're having that negative mindset about meal prep. So I have a no. No, I just need to make time. Perfect. So even that mindset could be maybe about time. Like I don't have time, but I'm it's all about mindset. Yes, no, yes, 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 some, no, I'm open, a bit split, but it doesn't have to be. I just always like to be curious and again being aware of kind of where we're at. Um, I actually typed this up to send to y'all, kind of going over the mindset shift. But if y'all use ChatGPT, I love ChatGPT. But if you ever have a negative belief, even around like meal prep, I'm going to put it in the chat. So this is my ChatGPT prompt. If I ever have any kind of negative mindset, so my negative belief is blank, please come up with 5 affirmations. So that's what I did here. ChatGPT is really good about putting my thoughts into really nice sentences that are great. So FYI, use that as much as you want to in any aspect of life. So, next thing, let's get into the good stuff. So, let's get into the 6 easy steps to plan meals and snacks for the week. So, step one, we want to take inventory. I know someone mentioned, like, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was like, I have stuff, need to use up stuff I already have. So take inventory before planning meals. Take a few minutes, see what you have in your fridge, your freezer, your pantry. Check the expiration dates. Maybe you have some leftovers from the week before that haven't gone bad yet, but you want to use them so you don't have to throw them away. Any staples that you have in your cabinet. You might have some pasta, you might have some rice, you might have some chicken in the freezer, and then write it down. So just make a quick little list of what you have, and then we can make meals from there. And that was something else someone mentioned. Like, I have things, but I don't know how to like put it together. into a meal or a snack. So first things first, we want to do that. Just kind of like take inventory. What do we have? So step 2 is going through the week and seeing how many meals and snacks do I need for this week. So obviously, you might not always need every single meal, every single snack. You might be having date night on Thursday, or you might be going out with friends for happy hour on Tuesday or something like that. So thinking about that, and then thinking what meals and snacks do I want to prep. So I'm going to jump to the bottom real quick. If you're just getting started, looking at the whole week might be really overwhelming. So you might just want to start with 1 to 2 days at a time, or even one meal at a time. Hey, I'm going to meal prep breakfast for the week. Let's say like overnight oats, and I'm going to eat them for the week. So you only need to prep enough to make your life easier. We don't want to overcomplicate it. So whether it's a few meals, a few snacks, little baby steps are going to add up. So here's one of the templates. And I know they're small. Again, you'll get this. If you do the QR code, you'll get this in your email. But these are the 2 meal planning templates that we use. So obviously you'll see the one on the left, it's blank. It doesn't have the days. But then one on the right, it's really tiny. But that has like the days of the week on it. So you'll get both of them, whatever works best for you. But what I would recommend is going through here and kind of writing in those things like, hey, Thursday date night for dinner. Tuesday happy hour with friends in there. So you know you don't have to prep those things. And again, you might not meal prep on Sunday. Maybe meal prepping on Wednesdays might work best for you, or Thursdays might work best for you. So that's why I have the blank one as well, just for an option. So you can write in whatever days you do. Sometimes personally, what I do just a few days at a time. So I'll write like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and maybe Thursday's kind of crazy. So then like the next 3 or 4 days, I might do like Saturday, Sunday, Monday, whatever, and whatever works best for you. It's not all size one, not all size, what is it? One size fits all. Man, I'm like, I need another cup of coffee. Making this work best for you. So we have these 2. I have another one, and this one's a pretty simple one. Sometimes I use this, especially for people just starting out, if this is really overwhelming. You could do this and say, hey, I'm going to choose 1 breakfast, 2 lunch options, 2 dinner options, and 3 snack options, or whatever here, and then write it underneath it, and then make a shopping list at the bottom. So next thing, actually planning out the meals and snacks. So we have our inventory. We have the number of meals or snacks we want to make or need to make for the week, or for however many days you're looking at. So now we want to put it into perspective. What are we going to make for those meals and snacks? So don't forget to use the balancing method. So if y'all have heard me talk about the balancing method before, this is how we structure our meals and snacks to help us feel full and satisfied for a long period of time, versus eating something and then like our body burning through it, and then we have this crash and then we don't feel good. So it's a way to balance those meals and snacks. And then also too, using those meal plan templates that we talked about. I personally like to print them out and write them. I like to write stuff down. I have like, well, they're in the living room now. Right now, I have this like big thing of like colored pens. I love that kind of stuff. I had a client once, and she downloaded this onto her iPad, and she would do it on her iPad. So again, whatever works best for you, you could take those templates and make them your own. Again, whatever works best. So just real quick, if you've never heard of the balancing method, if you're like, what the heck is that? What does that mean? This is just a quick overview of the balancing method. So again, the balancing method is making sure we're getting all of the different macronutrients in our meals and snacks. So our energy levels are stable and consistent throughout the day, and we're getting all of those macronutrients, everything our body needs. So we have the different sections. So we have carbohydrates, proteins, fats, non-starchy veggies, or fiber. And then this is what it's going to look like in like meal form and snack form. I will say nobody's perfect. We will not always check off all of these at every single meal and every single snack. That's not the goal. It's just trying to as best we can. So if we did get all the sections at a meal, obviously we want the carbs, the protein, the fat, the non-starchy veggies, or fiber. Bare minimum for a meal. You're like, hey, I can't get everything in. I really want you to try to get at least a carb and a protein together if you can. Again, those two things together will help at least um, stabilize that energy better and give your body energy versus just like eating a carb by itself or eating a protein by itself. Okay. And then for snacks, again, it has the same breakdown, but we want to choose at least two. You could choose three of them. You could choose all four if you're feeling crazy. Go for it. But at least two. And I'm gonna do a little pop quiz. I didn't have it on here. I wasn't gonna do it, but now I'm feeling it. I want to do it. Which one of the at least two do you think we want for the snack? Type it in the chat. What do you think? Do you think it's a carb, protein, fat, or non-starchy veggie? It's got some proteins in here. Carb, protein, fat, protein, non-starchy veggie, protein. Okay, fiber, great. Nuts, is that protein? Yes, nuts. Nuts technically are protein, but they have fat in them and they have fiber in them. So it's kind of like they're like balanced all in one, which is fun. Protein, fat, carb, yes. I feel like it depends on your goals. It does, I guess, more of the amount. It does depend on your goals. But it's actually a carbohydrate. But like I said, we want at least two. So that's just one of the at least two. We would want to try not to eat a carb just by itself. Because when you eat carbohydrates by themselves, number one, side note, carbohydrates are very, very important. That's the main source of energy for our body, especially our brain. But we don't want to eat the carb just by itself because what happens is we eat it, our blood sugar spikes, and then we crash, and then we're hungry an hour later, right? So we burn through that energy really quickly. So these two things together. Most times, whenever people choose a snack that has two things versus like the three or four, it usually is a carb and a protein. I know a lot of people put protein in here, which is great. But when we add that protein to the carb, it causes more of a slow, steady increase and decrease in our blood sugar. So it stabilizes that energy. It gives us that energy from the carbohydrate consistently versus, again, that burst of energy and then we crash, right? So does that make sense to everyone? Just real quick, does anybody have any questions on that specifically? Drop it in the chat and I'll answer it real quick. Okay, let's see. We go over some options that have two components that work particularly together. So some of my favorites, I love like crackers and cheese, which technically it has a little bit of fat in there. Like crackers and cheese. I love the Chobani drinkable yogurts. Oh, work particularly well. Okay. I love the drinkable yogurt. So they have like the white one. And then they have, it's like a little bit bigger. It's probably not that big, but it's a little bit bigger and it's dark blue. So it has like carbs and protein together. Again, kind of has fats in there. Fats kind of fall into a lot of stuff. A lot of our protein sources kind of have fats in there. Apples and peanut butter, grapes and cheese. Trying to think off the top of my head. Even for a quick little snack, I like to keep the HEB chicken salad and like the crackers on hand. If you haven't had the HEB chicken salad, it is 10 out of 10. You need it. It's so good. And the Sam's chicken salad is actually good too. Let's see, a piece of cake. What would you add to it? I love to do the Fairlife protein shakes. I particularly like chocolate, or even like a glass of milk could go with a piece of cake. I like to do, again, the Fairlife or like the HEB brand of Fairlife, which is Mootopia. It has a higher level of protein and kind of lower carbs because I am a sweet eater. Like I love to do in the afternoon, I love to do like a pastry or of some kind. So I'll do that with it, like the higher protein milk, because it kind of balances that out. Yes. Yes, it's awesome. I don't know what you're talking about. Probably the protein shakes. They're delicious. And the Fairlife from Utopia milk. They're really good. If I think of any other ones, I'll let y'all know though. If we have time at the end, I can go over them more too. So let me go back real quick. So again, planning out your meals, keeping the balancing method in mind as you plan out the meals and snacks, using these if you want to. Again, you don't have to, no pressure, but just if you want to, they are there to support you. And then step 4 is, oh, the HEB chicken salad. That's what she was saying. It was awesome. See, I told you it was so good. So step 4 is making the grocery list. So I kind of like to do kind of step 3 and step 4 at the same time, like planning it, but then as I plan it and like fill in little blocks, I like to make my grocery list. So writing it down so you have a grocery list to go off of, or just putting it into your mobile app if you do a mobile order. So checking your pantry first, you might already have some of the ingredients if like you're doing a new recipe. For me, I usually write them kind of to the side, like if it's like rice or pasta or like some kind of spice, I'll just write it to the side so I can check my pantry first before I get another one from the store. Organize your list by category. Here in a second, I'll show you just our template again that I'll share with y'all through that QR code. It's just a shopping list template. So you have sections to organize your list. Sometimes I do this. Usually, what I do personally is I keep my list on my phone in my notes app and I organize it by the way I shop my HEB route. So that's personally what I do. Considering convenience, whenever you're making your grocery list, do you need chopped onions or chopped bell pepper? Maybe you have a very full week, so maybe you do the pre-chopped veggies or frozen veggies. And then if you use the grocery app, a lot of the different grocery apps allow you to save favorites or even like reorder your last order. So just keeping that in mind too. Let's see. Do you have a recommended amount of daily protein based on body weight? So what we use, it's like a very long equation whenever we calculate someone's needs. But whenever we learned in school, it was technically, and this is low, this is like a very low end, so I'd probably go up from there. But also I would want to calculate like your individualized nutrition needs. So what we calculated is based on gender, age, activity level, obviously height and weight. I feel like there's something else in there. I have a spreadsheet for it, so I just like plug in the numbers now and it calculates it. But whenever we learned in school, it was 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per kilogram of body weight. But that's like when I calculate that, I feel like that's low. I feel like that's just like a blanket, kind of like, here's kind of what you need. But if you calculate that, it's low. So like in kilograms, like to convert your weight in pounds to kilograms, you would take your weight. So say it was 200 pounds. So 200 pounds divided by 2.2 is now your weight in kilograms. So then you would multiply that by 0.8 to then 1 to get that range. Again, that's low. It's very individualized for what you need. So I would have to know all the things like age, height, weight, activity level, all of that stuff too to get yours. But that would at least give you kind of like a bare minimum range. Using HEB pickup has been a lifesaver to help plan. Yes, love the HEB pickup. Quick Google looks like the same conversion. Yeah. Perfect. Whoops, I went the wrong way. So, okay, making the grocery list. Here's the grocery list template that we have. So, again, it goes through all the different sections. So, you have produce, grain. So, you can kind of put each thing in each section. So, when you're going through the grocery store, you're like, okay, I'm on the baking aisle. What do I need in baking? Check, check, check. Just makes it easier. I feel like a lot of people's overwhelm when they get to the grocery store, it's like they have this long list and then they have to like read through it and it's just like a whole thing. But if you put it in the different sections, it does make life way easier. So step 5 is actually grocery shopping. If you're going to the grocery store or doing your grocery pickup, which I feel like grocery pickup is really nice. They have a time and a date. Just make sure you pick up your order. But if you are going to grocery shop, a few things you can do if you want to. You can compare prices. So look to see if there's any sales or doing like store brand versus like the regular brand. If you want to, you don't have to. double check your cart, make sure you have all the things so you don't have to go back. And then bonus tip for grocery shopping, if you're going in store, never shop hungry. Um, Try not to, just try to plan ahead. Now, if you're like me, sometimes things happen and that's perfectly fine. What I like to do is I either go get a drinkable yogurt and I chug it in HEB and it's fine. You're not going to get in trouble. Just like bring it, obviously check out with it. Or I go to the bulk section that has nuts and I like put it in my little bag. I weigh it so it has the price on it and then I eat my nuts. But what happens if I don't do that? Then I'm like hungry for all the things and I put all these things in my cart, which is fine. But then sometimes that can lead to like food waste and whatnot. So, FYI there. And then step 6, so the last step, and this is key, and I struggle with this sometimes too, but set a time to prep and cook all of the things you planned, all of the things you bought, so it is ready to go when you are hungry. So obviously the planning is great, but if you don't make it, then you get to that point where you're like a 2 on the hunger and fullness scale. So if you went to the second session in the series, you know that hunger and fullness scale, whenever we start going to the left, we start getting hungry and then we're hangry and then we're ravenous. So if you haven't watched it, go back and watch it. I might be biased, but it's really good. So you might be a 2, and by the time you're a 2, you don't want to cook. You're already hangry. You need something right now. So then that leads to maybe you like swinging through fast food and getting something, which fast food is not bad for us. At Basic Balanced Nutrition, we believe all food is meant to be enjoyed in a balanced way. But if you already bought all these groceries, we want to use those things so we don't waste the food either. So prepping everything that we've bought. Now, a few strategies to just make it easier on ourselves. So batch cook things. So if you need chicken for like 3 different recipes, you could cook it ahead of time. I personally like to do like just regular seasoned chicken. And then use it for different recipes throughout the week, or I'll get a rotisserie chicken and you can do it for quesadillas. You can do it for what do they call it? Like chicken parmesan, like with the spaghetti with like chicken on it. I just like to have chicken on hand, or even ground beef. I like to make a big thing of ground beef and cook it all up, kind of again, just like regularly seasoned. If I want to make something else with it, like if I want to do tacos with it, I'll add the seasoning later, like for the specific things. But you can do so much with like ground beef. So you can do tacos, you can do spaghetti, you can do even like a I don't know. I don't know if it would be called a stir fry. I'd make some weird combinations. So that is what it is. Just like stir it up. Anything in a bowl, I'm like, love it. So I would do like ground beef, rice, like avocados. I guess it's kind of like a Chipotle bowl. Chop ahead of time. So even when you get home from the grocery store, like your habit could get home from the grocery store and like chop and prep all of like the veggies so you don't have to do it later. Pre-portioned snacks are a good option as well. So real quick before we get into the next section, I want to go through here. Let's see, I'll get one of the snacks from the ready-made section and shop with it if I'm hungry. Yes, that's perfect. Yes, the little, I'm guessing, I don't know if you are talking about HEB where they have like little adult Lunchables, I call them. That would be perfect. Can we have an HEB full trip event grocery shopping trip? Will be cool to take an actual walk through the aisles, produce section, tips and tricks. Yes, we do those. Those are called grocery store tours. And I don't know if we could do something with y'all. We'll have to go with Madeline. Maybe we could do like a group, like grocery store tour session. That would be really fun. Because the grocery store can be overwhelming, like actually getting there. But yeah, with our clients, we do like individualized sessions with them. So if someone has like food allergy or something like that, it's actually like implementing everything we learned in sessions, like in the grocery store. So it's super fun. So next section is making meal prep manageable. So just a few things to highlight here. So don't be afraid of convenience food. I feel like sometimes these can get so demonized, like the canned goods, the frozen foods, but these can be great options. So everybody's different. Everybody's lifestyle is different. So I'd rather you eat the canned goods or frozen goods than not eat any fruits or veggies or things like that, because I feel like people are like, I buy the fresh and it gets, it goes bad quickly, and I'm right there too. So all of those can be a great option. So the frozen fruit and veggies, so no chopping required. They are already chopped. A few of the ones that I like to keep on hand are the frozen chopped onions, the frozen chopped bell pepper, and then obviously like broccoli. Edamame is one of my go-tos. It's so great. I like it in the pods and just like the little, like outside of the pods, like the little beans. So good to like throw in a salad. Like one of like the Asian salads are so delicious. And then like if I do like a sushi bowl or something. So having those canned beans are great. You can put them in a colander if you want to, and rinse them off, get some of that excess sodium off, or there's low sodium, no sodium option for beans, but beans are great. They have great protein, they have amazing fiber. I made a 7-layer dip for the Super Bowl. Delicious, got some fiber in there, all canned beans. Pre-cooked grains, so microwavable quinoa rice. I like the Uncle Ben's. They have a brown rice. There's two different options, and they look very similar, but one has like very minimal sodium and one has quite a bit of sodium. So remember always looking at those nutrition facts labels. And then canned veggies. So again, quick shelf stable option for veggies to get in. So I usually keep like corn, um, sometimes green beans, just depends on how I feel. I go through phases of green beans. So just keeping those on hand so you can just like throw things together. I love edamame and so easy to make. My kids like it too. Do the canned veggies have less nutrients? Not necessarily. How canned veggies work, they take the veggies, they blanch them, and this is in frozen too, and then they can them or freeze them. So they still have the veg or the nutrients in there. Um, I feel like it's very minimal. Like, yes, fresh is gonna have more, but if you were to say, like, for me, for instance, um, I'm typically cooking for myself. So I'm gonna have a lot of waste if I don't use the canned veggies. So I'd rather have the canned veggies and get the nutrients that the canned veggies give me than have no nutrients. Right. If that makes sense. Just like convenience for me. I feel like that's a big thing. I batch cook grains and freeze some to pull out for later weeks. Rice freezes really well. I didn't know rice froze really well. That's great to know. So that's a good option too. I actually have that here in a second, but I didn't have rice as an option. So that's great. Um, Next thing, consider pre-made or restaurant family meals. So not all meals need to be homemade to be balanced and nutritious. So options to make life easier. So the meal services. So if you've ever done Factor, so that's like online. They come already prepared, already made. You like poke holes in it and you put it in the microwave, or Clean Eats. That's a good option too, because it's already balanced meals. So local restaurants with family meal options. So ever since COVID, a lot of the different restaurants, obviously during COVID, they did remember like the family meals. And a lot of them still have these around. So I know Roadhouse does, and Velvet Taco does, and Roadhouse is really cheap actually for what they give you. And it's delicious, and you get rolls, and I love it. So I personally do that pretty often. And then grocery store prep meals like the HEB meal simple. So those are just good options to have. Again, any of these things, if you go back to the balancing method, just make sure it's balanced. So say for instance, I'm going to go back just to have a visual because I'm a visual person. So say for instance, you find a meal and it has protein in it and some non-starchy veggies. Just add some carb to it, right? Or say you get a meal and it has carbs, say pasta and non-starchy veggies, pasta and broccoli, but it has no meat in it, no protein in it. Add some chicken, add some ground beef, something to the pasta. So that's just, again, even looking at these things, just keeping that in mind when you're going through, like if it's something already pre-made that you're not saying, okay, does it have all the balanced stuff in it? Making sure if it doesn't in these pre-made meals, just adding to it. I'm a fan of casseroles, several meals, and one dish. Yes, I love that. Cook once, eat several times is what I like to say. And a lot of casseroles actually too freeze really well. So, small habits that make a big difference. So, keeping staple ingredients stocked on hand or just like on your recurring grocery list. So, quick protein. So, the canned beans that we talked about, rotisserie chicken. I feel like this is one of my go to if it's a busy week. I love a rotisserie chicken. Depending on where you go, I know like Sam's has them for like $5. And I can eat so many meals off of a rotisserie chicken. Frozen veggies. So, the onions, bell pepper, I talked about, broccoli, I talked about whole grains, the Uncle Ben's rice. I always keep oats in my cabinet, cereals in my cabinet. Have a go to list of just easy meals that require minimal prep. So, spaghetti is one of my meals. Like a Chipotle bowl is one of my meals where it has like rice and the ground beef and cheese and avocado, things like that, or a sushi bowl. Kind of same thing, but I put salmon on it. So I keep frozen salmon in the freezer at all times. So I can just like pop that in the air fryer. Good to go. And then another thing, as you start meal planning, and snack planning, I guess too, keep a bank of all of your favorite meals and snacks. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time you go down like and sit down to meal prep. You could pull out this, again, I like it written, like this written list or on your phone where you're like, okay, let me go through the breakfast options. Oh, that one looks good. Oh, that one looks good. So you don't have to keep thinking about it. Because I don't know about y'all, but I feel like I get in this rut sometimes where I'm like, nothing sounds good. Well, yeah, I have like three options in my mind, but if I look at this list, that helps me to choose. So keeping that on hand. Um, let's see. How long is cooked chicken typically okay to keep in the fridge? I personally don't like to do it more than like 5 days ish. I always like to do the smell test. You can smell it. I don't know off the top of my head like what the actual time frame is, but personally I do about 5 days. I do Stay Fit Mom meal. She preps most in individual bowls and bakes all at once. Her recipes have been super helpful. I'm not sure what that is, but I'm going to copy it for myself and put it in here so I can look at in a little bit. Is that someone that's local? Costco has rotisserie chicken in a bag that has been deboned for convenience. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I use this regularly in casseroles. Awesome. Um, she said Stay Fit Mom Meals is on Instagram. I wonder, is it the lady that does the meals? It has to be because you said preps most in individual bowls. It's like she gets this baking pan and she puts the glass bowls and then she puts like the raw chicken in each one and then like the rice in each one or whatever, and then she puts it in the oven and she takes it out and they're done. Yeah. Okay. Yes, I really like her. She has a lot of good ideas. So y'all go check her out. Um, and for whoever said they didn't have enough Tupperware, I think if it's the same lady, I think she just came out with like her own bowls that have like Stay Fit Mom on it or something. And they're all oven safe for those. So a few extra tips, like I said, they weren't in there, but I kept thinking of things and I'm like, I'm just gonna add it to one big slide. So extra tips for just stress-free meal prep. So theme nights can be super fun, especially if you have kiddos, like Taco Tuesday, Pasta Wednesday, Sheet Pan Saturday. It just keeps it simple and easy and kind of have like an overall plan. So again, you don't have to reinvent the wheel every single day of the week. You're like, Taco Tuesday, we're going to have some form of tacos, right? Pasta Wednesday, some form of pasta. And then again, as you find good recipes, you can compile a bank, I call it, of these different recipes and these different ideas. So double up. I know y'all mentioned that earlier. So double up, cook once, eat multiple times. We were talking about casserole. So making extra for leftovers. Now, I know we said earlier we don't want to eat the same thing 4 days in a row. I also do not. But at least once I can do it, maybe 3 times, just depends on the recipe. But if not, maybe freeze it for later. So this is one of the things I like to do. I like to get like the single serve bowls and I'll do like casserole in there. Like I make Mexican casseroles, like put those in there. And like taco soup, I have taco soup in my freezer right now. So then two, when I'm doing my step one of meal planning and prepping, take inventory. I have some taco soup. I'm gonna take that out. That's gonna be good to go for the week. Use your crock pot or your Instapot. Great for busy weekends, prep in small chunks. So you don't have to do it all at one time. So just a little bit each day can add up. And then being realistic. So again, meal prep doesn't have to be fancy or this like big ordeal. It just has to work for you and your lifestyle right now. So remember, meal prepping is about reducing stress, not adding to it. So if you have never done any kind of meal prepping or planning before, starting small, even prepping one or two meals ahead of time can make a huge difference. So my question for y'all is, what's one takeaway you can try this week? And kind of along the same lines, again, if y'all know me and y'all been to one of my presentations, I always like to set focuses. So kind of along the same lines, but taking a minute to think back through the presentation and set some focuses. So I like to do one, no more than two focuses at one time. And I want them to be challenging, but attainable for you right now, where you're at in life. So think about that. Type it in the chat if you want to share. I always love to hear what y'all are going to work on. The packaging snacks that contain more than a carb. Yes, absolutely. It's kind of like a double whammy, right? You're getting the meal meal prepping, but then also a little bit of balancing too, which is awesome. Make a list of go-to snacks that are low prep and high nutritional value. Love that. Planning my snacks to have carbs and protein. Yes. Meal prep lunches to start. Awesome. Yes. Start with one. Go with that. I love that. Making a priority. Absolutely. And I should have added that in to this presentation, but putting in your calendar, like scheduling it, right? Not just saying, oh, not that I'm saying you're going to do this, but I'm just saying, oh, I need to do that, right? But actually setting an alarm, a calendar, like Google Calendar, wherever you keep your calendar, putting it in there like as a time block or something. So you actually do it. Start with an inventory of what I currently have and get some ideas of what I can do with it. Absolutely. I throw away so much food. I feel like now that I do the inventory, it's a little bit better. But in the past, let's say, I've thrown away so much food because it just sits there and I don't know it's there because I never like took inventory of what I have. So now what I like to do, like every few months, I go through my pantry and I look at all the dates and I pull everything that's maybe close to expiring in the next few months kind of in one spot. So I'm like, okay, I need to use this little section first. Adding for items to make the balancing, I tend to do 2 of the 4. I need to do 3 or 4 more. Yeah, especially for meals. Absolutely. So if you can do 3, again, bare minimum, at least a carb and a protein for at least the meal. But if you can do 3 or 4, that would be better because the more we add to the meal or snack, the more our blood sugar is stable and our energy is stable and consistent. So think of it, and if you'll probably seen this before if y'all done a presentation with me, where it's like eating the carb, it's like you have the spike and the crash of the blood sugar, and then adding a protein it's like a little bit lower, and then adding the fat it's a little bit lower, and adding the non-starchy veggie it's a little bit lower. So you don't have as big of a a spike and a crash in the energy and blood sugar, and then you're satisfied for a longer period of time. Let's see, I'd like to try a sheet pan meal. Have you tried any of the kits from HEB? I haven't tried any of the kits from HEB. Are you talking about like to actually make the meal? I've done the ones that are like the meal simples, but I've never done the kits. So I can't speak to those. I don't know. I'm trying to add more veggies and fruits in my diet, so buying fresh and keeping them and just before I reach for something unhealthy. Yes, fruits and vegetables are excellent to add in. But I wouldn't necessarily call something unhealthy. So again, just changing our mindset about different foods because not to go down a too big of a rabbit hole, but if we think about a food as unhealthy, we want it even more. It's like the psychological pull to it. It's weird. But if you say like, hey, fruits and veggies, or say like a fruit or like a dessert, like a fruit, I could have a fruit or a brownie. Like, which one do I want? It makes a little bit like neutralized, if that makes sense. Use ChatGPT to get suggestions for how to repurpose leftovers. Yes, y'all, I love ChatGPT. It is a game changer. That would be perfect, especially for the person earlier that was like, I have things, but I don't know like what to put it with to, make a meal out of it. Go to ChatGPT and say, hey, I have chicken or whatever you have in your fridge, like whatever you have in that inventory. I have chicken, I have rice, I have frozen broccoli. Like, what meals can I make with that? And it comes up. It's so quick. It is so good. I've been making all day events as a reminder of things I do. That's perfect. Take more time to search various recipes and make a list as what ingredients are needed and how I can utilize them for various other dishes that I can make to avoid waste. Yes, perfect. On our website at the top, it says resources and then it says dietitian favorites. And then on that page, we have different recipe websites that we love. A lot of them are very balanced. So you can go there maybe to get you started. So perfect. So a little bit about us, again, if you haven't heard before, and I'll go through this pretty quickly so then we can get to the QR code and questions. But who we are, what we can do, how we practice differently than other dietitians. So who we are, we're a team of registered dietitians, and our mission is to help our clients feel more confident with nutrition choices because there's just so much information, a lot of misinformation out there. And then also help them ditch the diet culture mindset. So no more restriction, no more cutting out your favorite foods. It's just all about balance. So how to work with us. We do one-on-one sessions with clients where it's obviously like individualized sessions. We do group sessions as well. So we do monthly master classes that are just like this. So it's just a rotating topic. We have community hours. So those are reserved for our one-on-one BBN clients only. So a safe space for them to come together, collaborate. The grocery store tours, like we talked about. And then we do corporate wellness. So events just like this, cooking demos, all the things. How we can help. So just again, there's so much misinformation out there. So ending the confusion and just learn how to navigate all of the information that there is out there in a confident way, ditching the diet culture mindset. So again, no more restriction, and really learning how to change our mindset about food if we're looking at foods as like good or bad, healthy or unhealthy, things like that. Just simplify nutrition. Again, there's so much information out there. It can be so overwhelming. So I do feel like that we really lay it out in a very simplified way that is sustainable for our clients. Disease state management, so navigating any kind of condition, if you have diabetes, heart disease, PCOS, high blood pressure, cholesterol issues, all of the things, one-on-one support for our clients. Sustainable change, so again, developing the habits and the mindset to have sustainable change, not like those bad diets out there where it's like you do it for like 2 weeks and then you quote unquote fall off, which side note, it's not you that's the failure, it's the diet that's the failure. I could go on a tangent about that. And then no more guilt. So enjoying food without the guilt and the shame or the second guessing, anything like that. So we have locations here in College Station, Conroe, Huntsville, and then virtual. So we see clients really anywhere. And how we practice, if you didn't get that from our presentation or past presentation. So we don't restrict ever. So we never look at what needs to be taken away. We always look at what needs to be added into someone's diet or lifestyle. So if you work with us one-on-one, we do get to know you on a personal level and provide individualized recommendations. We don't focus on weight or the size of someone's body or BMI. That's just not a representation of health. So we actually look at the non-scale victories. I would love to get like an in-body scale or something like that that actually truly shows body composition, because that would be great, but just weight and BMI just don't. No judgment or shame anytime working with us. So it's always a safe space to work with us. And then in addition, yes, we're dietitians. We focus on nutrition, but we also focus on our other pillars. So hydration, movement, sleep, stress management, and mindset. And the most fun part of this is, did you know that our services are covered 100% by y'all's Texas A&M insurance? So that includes our one-on-one sessions, our group sessions, and our grocery store tours. So come on in. I will say, I do know we're on a wait list right now for in-person. I think all of the in-person locations. I know we have some telehealth, but we do have a wait list. So if you're at all interested, I would recommend you getting on the wait list because it's first come, first serve. And I think we're going to have availability in the next few weeks. It's just hard to determine because we do work with our clients, especially the one-on-ones, on a very individualized basis. So it's not like, okay, this person has 10 sessions and they're kicked out of here, right? We work with some clients for years. So it really just depends. So always remembering, because food is meant to be enjoyed. And then here are all the QR codes. So I know I have a lot here, but if you put your phone up and you just tap on the QR code you want, that link will come up at the bottom. So the one that has the slides, the handouts, that's that top left one. Again, if you want to schedule, that's that bottom left one. And then we have Instagram, Facebook. If you're like, I don't really want to set up an appointment, but I just want to see what y'all are all about, that's a good way to just kind of see how we practice, what we do, all of that. Okay. So do you offer joint sessions for people who live, eat together? Yes, absolutely. We can absolutely do that. What we would do though, if you're scheduling with someone else, I would call the schedule, because the initial session is, all of our sessions are an hour, but the initial session, we really want to get to know the individual person. And sometimes there is some overlap, but usually medical history, medications, like things like that are different. So we like to schedule a 2-hour block. Y'all can come in for the 2 hours together. You can do one goes at 3 p.m. and one goes at 4 p.m., whatever you want to do. And then moving forward after that, like follow-ups are just an hour together, but that initial intake is a little bit longer. And then where can we access the wait list? Let me pull it up real quick. It's on the website. So if you go to our main website, at the top it says schedule now. And I'm just going to put it in the chat. All send to everyone. At the top, it just says, I don't remember exactly what it says, something about a wait list. It says we're currently on a wait list for all locations. Please call our office or click here to be added to our wait list. So if you click the click here, you just do like your name, your contact information, what location you want. So whenever we have availability, we can call you. And it's super easy to fill out. And we just put you on the queue once you fill that out. Again, you can call as well, though. Whatever you are most comfortable with. I personally like to just do everything online, but some people like to talk. So if you want to talk, let me actually 337-323. So here's our main line if you want to call as well. So what else? Any other questions? Anything? I'm gonna scroll back up to the top real quick because I know I said there's some stuff. Trying to make sure. Okay, someone said, what good recipes to start with? So like I said, on the website, we do have at the top, I'm actually just going to go to it so y'all can see it. I'm a visual person. So at the top of our website, it says resources under dietitian favorites. And then we have the different recipes. So these are all really good recipes. And again, they're usually very balanced. And then even the Factor, there's a discount code through Factor. So that's like one of the meals that you can do ahead of time. Let's see. Someone said I don't want to eat the same thing for 4 days. So that's what we talked about. So you could still make stuff ahead of time, but like batch cook chicken or batch cook ground beef and like make several different meals with it. Or if you want to do like the casserole, like freeze it. Those are always amazing options. Or if you have, I've thought about this, I've never done this before, but if you have a few friends, y'all could get together and like each person cooks one meal and then you like swap. I think that would be fun, like a meal prep swap. We talked about, person said not having enough containers. We're gonna get you some containers. Planning. Let's see. Yes, needing to use up stuff I already have. I'm not sure how those items will fit into a meal prep. ChatGPT is gonna be your best friend there. Let's see. make time. We talked about time blocking. Okay, perfect. I just want to go through those from the very beginning. Let me scroll back down. Okay, something that has helped me a lot is buying meats for the month and then easily perishables on a weekly basis. Yeah, that's perfect. You could absolutely do that. This was great. Thank you for all the helpful tips to get started. Absolutely, you're welcome. I've had people tell me that chilling or freezing cooked rice improves its glycemic characteristics. Yes, it actually is true. So if you cook rice and then let it like cool off, it changes like the structure of the starch and it makes it not have as high of a glycemic index. Um, or like to simplify it, it doesn't spike your blood sugar as much. If you like cook it, let it cool off, and then eat it. Thank you for the information. You are welcome. Absolutely. Y'all are welcome. Thanks so much for being here. If you have any more questions, let me know. I'm an open book, and I'll for sure see y'all in a few weeks. I'm excited.
Yes. Brandy, as always, this was fantastic.
Thank you.
And had so many great little pieces of nuggets. I feel a little less overwhelmed when I think
Good.
about trying to do a little shopping. So that's good.
Right.
Um, let's see.
Good.
I wanted to copy the link for session 4. So if anyone wants to come back for our 4th and final session, which is going to be talking about nutrition supplements and supplementation, that will be on February 25th. And there's the link for you guys to register for that. And like I said, we will get this recording up on YouTube. I will typically send out an email to everyone. Once we get technology to cooperate with us and we get it all uploaded. And with that, just one final thank you to Brandy and so much for
Yes.
being here.
Thank
And
you for
everyone,
having me.
have a fantastic Tuesday.
Yes. Have a fantastic Tuesday. Stay
Yay.
dry. It is gross outside.
Yes. Okay.
All
All
right.
right, friends.
You're
We'll see you next
welcome.
time.
All right. Bye, y'all.